Hi guys, welcome to another video with Deborah. My name is Deborah and I'm so excited to finally be sharing this with you. I recently posted a LinkedIn post where I was sharing about the 3 doors that you enter after your last assignment submission, especially for uni if you're graduating from undergrad, of which one was to continue your education, continue studying and something that genuinely interests you or further your knowledge base, and second, find a job, work for yourself, build a career, all those good stuffs, make some money, and third, discover yourself, understand who you are as a person, what do you like doing and what do you want to do for the rest of your life. I've been trying to enter door 1, continue my education and maybe delay that part of adulthood. I have received lots of DMs because this process has been a successful one. After my undergrad, I submitted my master's application to just 2 schools, of which they're not simple schools. They are Ivy Leagues. I applied for Oxford, which happens to be Oxford, and I applied for SciencesPo, which is the Harvard of Europe. I don't know if you agree, but I just hear so. And we got admitted into the 2 schools, and I'm so excited to be sharing my personal statement because I have had a couple of people asking me like the personal statement I used to apply for these schools, although this is one piece into the admission process. However, I believe that really this personal statement played a critical part into the whole admission, other than aside the other document that we had to submit. Disclaimer, this is not the perfect personal statement you'll come across, and also I'm not saying that this is the right way you should be writing your personal statement, because I understand that statement of purpose and the whole writing processes requires creativity in how you as a person want to be representing yourself, especially to the other part of the world who'll be reading your statement of purposes. I'm just sharing my approach into this personal statement with hopes that it helps you understand what I submitted within the process or inspire you to write your own personal statement, but also to just share here in case you find it useful. And I think I'll just be reading the whole statement of purpose out loud, and then I'll share a few tips here and there on what I was thinking when I was submitting this. Second, this personal statement will very much be academic oriented. Why? Because Oxford specifically, because that's the personal statement I'll be reading out loud, their emphasis was mainly on why you want to be in that master's program or the subject you're planning to apply for. It was nothing more of what was your past achievement, what are your ambitions, what is your upbringing. They don't care. And trust me, there is a creative way on how you can tap into your extracurricular activities and your life aspirations and put that together to still talk about your academic aspiration, especially in the program you're applying for. And that's what I managed to do, and we're successful. So I think that would be it. I will be just reading the master's personal statement that got me into Oxford. SciencesPo, they are a little bit similar, but since I was applying for different programs, it's slightly different. So let's get into the video. The laptop I used to submit my essays, and here is where my personal statement has been kept for quite some time now. And I'll be starting with the introduction. For a little bit of the introductory part, what I was actually planning to do was to set the scene for the subject. Mainly the scene for the subject is I sharing my motivation into the program, but also set the scene for myself, or why do I want to be doing the program? How do I connect to the program I'm applying for? I was applying for a master's in environmental change and management, and then within the paragraph I mainly shared the opening sentence, obviously, but then my engagement, my motivation, and my future plans. I think that was the main key focus area within the introductory part. So let's get reading. My interest in environmental change emerged in an unlikely place. During my second year research class, where my thesis analyzed the socio-economic impacts of energy transition policies in sub-Saharan Africa. I, however, found the sector intriguing during my advocacy work with YANGO, the official children and youth group under the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change, UNFCCC. where I actively engaged with climate research, negotiations, and the UNFCCC's processes during the Conference of Party COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, and COP28 in Dubai, mainly advocating for the complete fossil fuel phase-out as well as the breakthrough agreement on the Loss and Damage Fund for vulnerable and developing countries. At this moment, I realized the immense significance of fossil fuel, gas, oil, and coal as the primary factor for human development and yet the primary contributors to climate change. This revelation, coupled with my stark reality of climate injustice that many developing nations encounter, despite being minimum contributors to greenhouse gas emission and bearing the brunt of climate vulnerability, illuminated environmental policies' profound and lasting impacts, which often remain shackled in their historical policy roots. Climate policies leave lasting structural legacy. It's a prisoner of its own past. After reading my master's in environmental change and management at Oxford, I intend to write a thesis on the intersection of global energy governance, climate change, and socio-economic development within the African context, and later a PhD in sustainability and the environment to prepare me for environmental policy making career in Rwanda, my homeland, and across Africa. For the main paragraph, I divided this into 3 paragraphs, just because I wanted to keep it neat and easy to read, but also because each paragraph was serving a different purpose. One was mainly talking about my previous academic background, my undergrads, what I focused on. The next was mainly I and my interest into the master's program I'm applying for, and lastly, my internship extracurricular activities that I was engaged in. I think this is it. These are actually like 4. Alright. My background in politics is especially adventurous as a development studies student. Well, this was supposed to be as an environmental change and management student, but we move. As it aligns closely with my field multidisciplinary nature. Having read governance and environmental change as an undergrad, I understand that evidence-based policies are inevitably politicized, large disjunction yawns between technical expertise and political realities. This is especially interesting in the environmental and sustainability context. I most likely look forward to diving deep into the compulsory research energy system, mitigating climate change, governing the Anthropocene, and understanding the human dimension of environmental change, themes that lay the core knowledge foundation necessary to advance in a policymaking career. A grounding in the interdisciplinary aspect of energy is essential in confronting future energy securities and sustainability challenges. Considering Africa is experiencing rapid population growth and urbanization, how we meet our energy and climate adaptation need becomes increasingly crucial. Our energy choices and policies will undoubtedly shape the world's future energy landscape and economy and progress toward achieving the Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and the Sustainable Development Goals. This understanding inspired me to write a paper on the subject, which won the SciencesPo Energy Association essay competition in 2023. Paragraph 2. By reading and examining the interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary cause theory of development and key themes in development with environmental view, while examining the economic, legal, and ethical and cultural drivers for environmental systematic solution, I can better draw crossover between industrialization, historical patterns of global emission and economic growth, and the African-specific context. Oxford's offering of sufficient summer time to research deep personal significance is also incredibly attractive to me. I plan to write my master's thesis on the interlinkage between climate change and social inequalities within countries, and how this factors into the Paris Agreement policies and the shared responsibilities toward a net zero economy. To best bridge the gap between my undergrad studies and the demanding master's program, I am studying political ecology in my gap year to grasp better political economy methods applied in environmental resource issues. With my master's in environmental change and management, I look forward to understanding sustainable development narratives and policymaking lessons, where I will provide unique perspective on how policymakers can better integrate vulnerable groups into sustainable development policy discussion, considering that their exclusion in climate action offer additional complexity to Africa's development narrative. My first-hand experience writing policy suggestion was during my summer holiday, where I was involved in expanding the Continental Ministerial Kampala Declaration on Migration, Environment and Climate, a crucial agreement adopted by 48 African countries to address the complex relationship between human mobility and climate change. We drafted the key messages for youth in Africa to be adapted and managed to have 3 key demands and recommendations to the delegation. And one of them aimed to create a multi-partner financing instrument, including for youth to avert, minimize, and address loss and damage, and advance the global goal and adaptation in Eastern Horn of Africa. This effort has led to my current role as the Youth Advisor to the European Union Commissioner Director General for International Partnerships on issues like youth engagement, education, and climate change. Moreover, my internship at Rwanda Environmental Management Authority involved analyzing climate trends using global models, coupled with my role as the International Climate Youth Delegate for COP28. Negotiating and reporting on loss and damage finance was both exciting and demanding. This experience inspired me to integrate human rights and just energy transition into environmental policies. As a future policymaker in African environmental development, Oxford Masters uniquely offers statistical training that aligns with my interest in quantitative research, honored in parliamentary dataset modeling, and wildlife conservation research. Oxford's quantitative skills training is especially crucial for multidisciplinary challenges on the energy and climate crisis. I'm currently taking data science course to prepare me for these modules, ensuring proficiency in handling large data. This happens to be the concluding part. I kept it simple and quite summarizing still my interest into the program, but also why I'm a best candidate to this master's program. Lastly, communicating policy specific and objective is important as a policymaker. I enjoy explaining technical subjects vividly to a wide audience, and I'm naturally suited for this. Well, I don't think I'm naturally suited for this, but I believe with practice and lots of exposure, then it's just like the saying, practice makes perfect. But this was a lie, I'm not naturally suited for this. I presented my research paper to a broader audience at Subject to Climate this year, published Whispers of the Savannah, a climate education book for children that is now available in 2 languages. Nevertheless, once offered a position at Oxford to specialize in this sector, I know I have the motivation and capacity to succeed in this rewarding and intellectually fulfilling vocation and contribute to the class discussion with African perspective. I believe in becoming an excellent addition to the institution. And yeah, this was just 1,000 words maximum personal statement essay. And I'll just leave you a few tips on maybe what I could have done better or what I believe should maybe be done with your personal essay statement. Oxford was one of the schools that I applied for the very last minute because it wasn't part of the schools I was considering to apply for until a couple of my friends convinced me that actually I could consider submitting my application. So I think it's important that you do your research earlier on, understand the program you want to apply for, what do they require, and start writing your personal statement earlier on, which was a mistake. I really applied like 5 days before the deadline, if not 4, and I was really in a rush. That's why you can see a few mistakes, not a lot of them. But yeah, I think it's important that you start writing your personal statement earlier on. It gives you more time to really revise it, but also link it to the different evaluation criteria within the program you're applying for. Second, I would also advise you to go into the program like thoroughly. Just go read, understand the modules, see what they will be studying, and try to add that into your personal statement. I tried to do so in a few paragraphs. I think that gives you and give the evaluation team that feeling that you actually did the research and you know what it's awaiting for you in the master's program. So it's important to understand that, and if you can, just go read some of the papers that was published by some of the lecturers into the program you're applying for, or even most of these papers are published online. Go read through and maybe bring a quote in and include it into your personal statement. It adds in really a little bit of an extra point, I think, and it shows that you're really ready for the program. And lastly, I think you just trust the process, and if you can and you have people who can proofread your essay, do so. Let them go through the grammar errors or maybe paraphrasing and all those stuff. It can also help. I didn't have time to do that because I was in a rush, but if you really have time, and just get 1 or 2 people to proofread your essay before you submit it. if you think it's necessary. And I think, yeah, that's it. Good luck with your essay application, guys. If you're writing personal statement, I think for any your undergrads or masters, or I don't know, I hope you found the video useful. And if you need any clarifications, feel free to reach out via my LinkedIn, through the YouTube comments, or even on my Instagram. All right, have a great rest of the day. Bye bye.